Alright, hello. Let's see. More story time with Bachi. The Chronicles. So still doing the club stuff. It's probably been about 2, 3 years now. I have a name for myself. People know who I am. I'm pretty well known in the club industry. Um, my club is doing extremely well. We had the soccer World Cup in Yokohama, and the club was packed. We had so many different nationalities in there. It was amazing to see. Of course, at first everybody hated each other, but once they had like 20 shots and Guinness and Heineken, whatever, they were best friends by the end of the day. The Scottish and the Irish hated the British, and they went. But at the end of the day, they were all drinking and partying together. It was amazing to see all these different countries and these cultures come together and over soccer. I mean, we have a lot of sports in the states, but I mean, you don't understand until you actually see what a sport like soccer or rugby does. I mean, it's not popular to us in America, but around the world it is. And actually, recently last year here in Japan, we had the Rugby World Cup, and it was amazing. So many different people come to these guys, even with the soccer World Cup. I think it was 2000 or 2001 or somewhere around there. Um, there was this Irish couple. They were 21 years old. They both saved up for like 3 years, 2, 3 years, all the money they could just to come to the Soccer World Cup here. And they couldn't make it to any games. They couldn't get any tickets. They just came here hoping that maybe something would happen and they could get tickets. They came into the my club every night. And we broadcasted the games for everybody during the day and stuff. They would come in, and between the two of them, they would drink two 30 packs, so 60 Guinness a day between the two of them, and they would leave fine. I mean, they weren't plastered. They weren't. They would just drink and drink, and I had to order extra Guinness just for that couple. They were really cool. I wish I would have kept in contact with them. They were fun to talk to, and some other an Irish group came in, and one of the older men. I had no idea what he was saying. His accent was so strong, and they were like he's like real country, and he mixes like his English with the Celtic, I guess it's called. Maybe I don't remember the Irish language. And they were telling me all stories about Ireland. How their their language was pushed out. And they told me a lot about the IRA. The guy, he was really like it was a touchy subject to him. I mean, the IRA to us. I mean, what we see in movies and what we hear, they're I don't want to say anything to stereotype them because I don't know. I mean, it's not my culture. I'm not around it. I don't know. There's three sides to every story: yours, theirs, and the truth, or mine, yours, the truth, kind of thing. So I was just, but when he started talking about it, he would get extremely passionate, like about how what they were doing was, good, and how they were, trying to help the country and stuff. So it was interesting take to see that side of things because all we see is what we see on movies. Brad Pitt's playing an IRA terrorist type thing or something. So now the way he talked to him, it was a totally different story. But when you come overseas, you when we're in America, we're taught in school. Christopher Columbus found America. The Indians gave us land. I mean, uh, World War II, World War III, we helped the world. Vietnam, we were helping the Vietnamese. So we always hear basically we're the good guys, and that's how we're brought up. And I'm sure every country does that. Every country probably, doesn't want them to see that negative side. But when you travel the world and you come, and I highly, highly suggest if you're a mother or father to have your children travel after high school or college, travel the world, go to any country, and just learn because you get to see the different outtake. You get to see the different how other people see us, and it's not like we think. Like I know the whole, we became independent from the British colonies and whatever. I know the stories. I mean, I couldn't tell you dates or anything, but I know the stories. And I was always taught or thought or just took the impression that, yeah, of course, at the time it was an issue, but to this day, nobody cares. That's not true. It's not true. Um, we are disliked by the British a lot. No, of course, not everybody, and this is not everybody's racist, not everybody, but there is a big majority of people that don't like Americans because of that whole how we were part of the British colony, how we were part of Britain, and how we changed the language. And I remember this is actually not in the club. This goes back to when I was working at Stoves days, and there was a group of, I think they were Nissan workers, because Nissan brings over a lot of these British guys, Irish guys to work in the factory because they run the factories back there and stuff. I don't know details. So there was a big table. There was a couple Irish, a couple Scottish, a couple British, and they were just they're drinking together. And because the waiters were having trouble understanding their accents, they asked me to come, and of course, so I go up there. I'm like, how can I help you guys? And right when I got there, this one older British guy, really strong accent, he called the Irish guy or the Scottish guy. He was like, "Well, you're American," and the Irish guy's like, "Don't call me that." And I honestly took no offense to it whatsoever. I didn't care. I mean, we're American. Hey, well. So one of the other Scottish guys or British guys, he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. He didn't mean anything by it." And the British guy says, "Yes, I did." And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Can I get you guys order? What do you want?" So I'm taking the order, and the British guy is like, "You're American, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Are you happy? Are you proud to be an American?" And I was like, "Of course. Why wouldn't I be?" He's like, "You guys, you run the world like you guys are the police force of the world. You go into countries that don't want you, and you just take what you want, oil." And yeah, I was in the military. I was in Iraq, the Gulf, and all that stuff. And what he was saying was trying to offend me, but I really just didn't care. I mean, that's his opinion. What can I do? I'm 21 years old, 22 years old at the time. Why do I care? So I'm like, oh, well, hey, what can I do for you? I mean, what do you want me to say? I was born American. I'm sure my bloodline, my DNA, I'm a mix of everything else, like most Americans. None of us, you know. And I was like, so is it my fault that I was born American? I mean, if I was born British or Scottish or Irish, it would make no difference. I'm still the person I am. Just what can I do? And he was like, well, being American is the biggest disgrace in the world because you guys walk around like and he's just going off, and the other guys were like, look, calm down. And he was getting more upset that I wasn't offended by his whole race, not racial, but his whole I don't know what you would call it, his whole anger towards me and not being by being proud to be an American or not taking offense to what he was saying. So it was making him more mad that I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. So he he was going so much that I couldn't get the orders. There was like 10 guys there, and I've only got like 4 of them because they're trying to shut him up. He's still attacking me. So finally, I got to the point where it's like enough, because he said something about like the military or something like that. And I was like, look, I was in the military. I went to the Gulf. I did what I had to do for my country. Enough's enough. I'm just here to take your order. I got to get back behind the bar. I'm making drinks. I don't have time for this. He's like, oh yeah, just like the Americans to just come in and do it, say what they want, and then walk away. I was like, no, no, no. You've been talking to me for a good 10 minutes, just trying to make me mad, and everybody here is trying to shut you up, but you won't listen to them because you have that British mentality of we are the top, we are the thing. And I don't mean that towards all British. I have a lot of British friends. I don't care about it. I was just trying to upset him, so I was trying to get back at him. I was like, I'll tell you what. Who's the youngest country in the world? Who comes to the rescue every time you guys need help? America. We're the little brother, but we're always the one to come bail you guys out when you need money or you need help or you guys caused a problem. You picked a fight with somebody you couldn't beat. You call good old brother, little brother America to come help you. And I said, even today, you guys couldn't even order drinks, so you called the American over to help everything out. And I'm going to fix the problem, and I'm going to bring you your drinks because that's what America does. We help. We take care of you guys when you need us. So when you need a drink, you call the American and I'll make sure it's taken care of because you can't do it yourself because you're too hard headed to try to learn the language. You're too hard headed to talk to these guys. You're not even trying to even point at pictures on the menu. You were just talking away, making it difficult for everybody. So that's you and this is me. So if you need anything, call the American. I'll be right back over here. He got mad. And I mean, no disrespect to anybody. I don't care. I really just was trying to upset this guy. So he got mad, and they were all laughing at him, and they were just like, "Oh my God, how that was so great," and the way I said it, and he got him walked out. I mean, he just left because the fact that he wasn't getting to me, and he came back in later a few times, and he would ask me stupid questions like, "Why did we change the spelling of color?" And I didn't know we did. And of course, I guess we did. And I mean, he would always try to upset me. And usually, I would just like, yeah, yeah, whatever, whatever. But he was also the same guy. He told me that he had just fired 3 people at the factory that day, at Nissan or something. And I was like, really? Why? And he was like, well, I just walked up to him and asked them a question. If they couldn't speak to me in English, I didn't need them. I was like, yeah, but this is Japan. It's, do they have to speak English to build cars or whatever? He's like, in my division, in my group, if they don't speak English, I don't need them. And he's just going off. And he's really older generation. And I was just like, wow. But a lot of people do things like that. I mean, it is their mentality. Even though they're in a foreign country, why do they have to learn the language, or why doesn't anybody speak to them? So he literally would walk up to people, and he wasn't asking like, what's your name or how old are you? He was like, if I was to get on an airplane and fly to Australia and want to go to Melbourne, what would be the quickest way? And these people are like, what? I don't understand what you're asking me, and you're fired. And he would purposely just do this, and to me that was just horrible. But if you're going to send your kids or something overseas to let them see the way the other world looks at us, and it's not always good. Yes, some people love us, of course. I mean, we're Americans. We helped this, we did that, whatever it is. But some people don't like us, and they're still holding grudges from things that I don't even know about. So be prepared for that. Try to be open to learning the language. That's my biggest. I mean, if you're in America and you say you're sitting at McDonald's and the table next to you is speaking in Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, Japanese, Mongolian, whatever language they're speaking, French, Italian, German, Spanish, and you tell them, learn our language or go back to your own country and stuff like that. Those are the exact same people that come to Japan and Italy and France and Paris. They refuse to learn a word of their language because they don't feel they need to. How can you be so one-sided? How can you tell this person to learn English, to speak in Spanish to their grandpa, their grandmother, but yet when you travel, you have no intention of learning the language of the country you're visiting? And I know people like that. There's people in Japan that were here for 20 years that refused to learn the language because they worked on base. How can you live in a country for 20 years and not learn the language, but yet go back to America and be so driven that if you can't speak English, get out of our country? So if that's you, my personal opinion, I'm sorry, but I think you're wrong. Pick up 2 words. Thank you. No, thank you. I don't eat that. I don't want that. Something. But don't think that because you're in America, that English or any other country that speaks your language and that language is the priority language. And then when you travel, you refuse to even tolerate the fact of learning the language of the country you're visiting. I mean, if you're going to Thailand for 2 days, yeah, you're not going to learn how to say, where's the bathroom? I need to brush my teeth. But you can at least try, attempt. Like I said, I know people that's been here 20 some years that speak no Japanese whatsoever because they don't feel they need to learn it. But they get mad when people around them speak foreign languages. If you're in the States and the people next to you and they're with their mother and their grandfather that's been in America for maybe 2 years, I mean, their whole life they've spoke Spanish. How do you expect them to learn the language in a year or two when some of you guys won't even learn the language in Japan for 20 years? So, and by no means is anybody better because they could speak the other language, or I'm not better because my friends who don't speak Japanese. It's not like that. I learned the language because I wanted to broaden my horizon, to open options for work and for my life. So I learned the language. I studied on my own. I made friends. I did everything I could. Okay, if I worked on base, I didn't need to learn the language, and that's different. But I would at least learn how to say no, thank you, or where's the bathroom? I need to brush my teeth. So I'm sorry if I apologize. I mean, I apologize if I offend anybody by that, but that's just my opinion. If you're going to travel, you're going to visit another country, try to open your mind to them. It's just a little bit their culture, the way they do things. If they eat raw fish, try it. Eat raw fish. See what it's like. When in Rome, like they say. If you don't like it, then don't travel to those countries. Stick to the countries that are more to your standards. Is my advice. But definitely let your kids travel. After high school summer vacation, send them somewhere. Let them travel. So find a homestay thing where they can stay with somebody for a month or something. It really helps you open your mind because this is okay. 15 minutes. We got a little more time. I try to keep them short because I know you guys get bored watching all these long videos. So, for example, when I was in the military, um, we were at war, and there's a missile that had hit near a children's hospital or a hospital or something, and some civilians were injured or killed. And it was all over the American media. On base, we had newspapers say missile strike, off target, blah blah blah, injured people. And so that's what the American media told us. It was on the news. Missiles went off course, or missile missed its target by a mile and a half or whatever. But I worked with weapons. I worked with guns. I worked with missiles. Yeah, I didn't know a lot about them because it wasn't my priority job, but I did work with them, and I know some of these missiles can go down a ventilation tube. Some of these like 5-inch guns they're about on the horizon, which is like 10 miles. They'll be like a Volkswagen Bug distance away from their target at most. So how this missile was a mile and a half off was just weird to me. I mean, it's just like, what? Either it was extremely faulty missile. Whoever launched the missile made a mistake. It is weird, but you don't think about it because the media would never lie to us, right? Mm-hmm. So in Japan, I'm going home and I'm going to see my girlfriend, and they have a newspaper at the house, and it's got the same missile strike, blah blah blah, gone wrong. But the wording was, I didn't read much Japanese, but it was like target missed or something like that, and it had a picture of a guy as the target. So I asked my girlfriend, what's it say? And she's like, it says that the intelligence found out that one of Saddam Hussein or whoever, Bin Laden's people, one of his lieutenants, was being treated at this hospital, and they had cleared everybody out to take care of some of whoever's main people. So they did a coordinated strike, but they don't think they got him because he supposedly had probably left before the missile hit. So there's two different stories. One tells us that our missile made a mistake and hit the wrong target and killed, injured people that weren't involved in the war. And one said that we were aiming at a person that was there, that we probably missed him because we're not sure that he was in the rubble. And it's like, which one do you believe? Which one makes more sense? Can a missile that goes down a ventilation tube be a mile and a half off target, which in a mile and a half radius of that there was no actual target in that area? So that's a little weird. I don't know which story was true or false. Media will run with whatever story they think will sell papers, of course. But yeah, I think I know which one was accurate. And just like there was another one just like that. I don't remember the exact story. It could be a little off. I know that like 4 or 5 reporters were caught on the wrong side of the line, and they were killed. Was I think our media said that they were missing. They were missing, and we're trying to get a hold of them. But the Japanese newspaper had these 4 or 5 guys strung upside down on a bridge, burning alive, and like in the top paper, it had them like on fire, and it said 4 or 5 reporters were burnt alive on this bridge to show the military or the troops that it doesn't matter if you're a reporter and you're neutral or whatever. If you cross over, you're considered enemy combatant. And yet again, they had pictures of these people burning on this bridge. But yet our media was like, oh, we're looking for them. They're trying to get them back, kind of thing. Yet again, media tells us what we want to hear to either to build up the fire or to put it out. I mean, it's kind of like it's still the same today, and there's nothing you can do about that. But when you travel around the world and you see these different views and these viewpoints, and you see these different way media handle certain things, and it's a good learner. It's a good eye opener. You were like, huh, never even thought about that. So that's my story for today, just or for now, just kind of a little like travel, see the world, learn. Be in a box. All you see is the walls and the corners and the edges. Step out of the box and maybe you'll see a little more. All right, thanks for listening. Catch you in a minute.